Okay, so we're going to try to show you how to do some of these homeworks where you actually have to draw the structures. So this was sent to me by a student, so one of them's done. But when you're looking at this, the first thing that I would always do is to actually count my carbons. And know you want to go in and like do the homework just in the homework program, but if you get out a sheet of paper and draw this stuff, you're going to have more success getting it correct, drawn correctly. So I'm looking at a Lewis structure, right? And I have carbon number 1, 2, 3. So I know I have 3 carbons. So we know that carbons in a skeletal diagram are just simply either ends of lines or where 2 lines meet. So if I draw just a straight line, that would be carbon 1 and carbon 2. I draw another one, and then that is carbon 3, because each of these places, 1, 2, and 3 is a carbon. So when you draw it in the program, it looks like a V, right? Okay, so that's pretty good. The next one, look at it doesn't necessarily have to be your parent chain. You can draw it any which way because you're not naming it. So it doesn't really matter that you know what is the parent chain for this problem specifically. So I just kind of look at the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to go straight across and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 carbons straight across. So let me do that first. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons. Okay. So that gives me my main chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I always kind of number them in my drawings just so I can keep track. Coming off of carbon 3, right here, carbon 3, I come down and I have 1, 2 carbons. So 1, 2 carbons, right? And that's this one and this one. Now coming off of this carbon, which is this carbon, I have 2 other carbons. So it's going to come off this way and come off this way, right? So that gives me all of my carbons accounted for. So always, always, always double check and make sure you're doing all the carbons that you need. So we're going to draw them here, and then I'll show you how to do them in the program. The next one, we have 1, 2, 3 carbons. So that's 1, 2, 3 carbons. And between carbons 2 and 3 is a double bond. Now, honestly, if we were numbering this correctly, you would number the double bond to give it the lowest number possible, but we're not worried about that quite yet. Okay, so I have these beautiful drawings done. Oops, I'm trying to show y'all everything all at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm going to put them into the program. So I'm going to try and put both of them up at the same time. So let's see if it will let me do that. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to click draw structure, right? Okay, here's my other window. And what I want to draw is this one right here. So I'm just going to draw a V. They're all single bonds. So I'm going to pick the single bonds and I'm going to draw 1, 2. Now you see how that blue square lights up? That blue square tells you that the next line you draw is going to be connected to that atom, right? So I have 1, 2, 3 carbons. So that one's done. Super, super easy, right? Okay, so now save and exit. Maybe. There we go. Okay, so now next one, a little more complicated, right? But first, I'm just going to draw this main chain, right? You could draw it this way too. So you could draw this, and every time you pull, it would tell you how many, right? It's a really easy way. So we want 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The other way is you could do it just the way I did it before, where you're counting as you go, right? You would end up with the same thing. And this is a little more scrunched up. This is a little more spread. It doesn't matter. It's still the same exact thing. Okay, so I'm going to kind of undo what I did. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons. Now, coming off of carbon 3, here's carbon 3, I have a single bond, right? Then coming off of that carbon, there are 3 other carbons. So I'm just going to do that. 1, 2, and I can do this, 3, right? And that gives me all the carbons coming off of it. Does it matter if it's at an angle or straight down? It doesn't matter. Does not make a difference. Save and exit. Okay, now the last one. So we drew here the same thing. We're going to have 1, 2, 3 carbons. So let's do this really nice. And I really like this. 1, 2, 3. And it even tells you, right? It gives you that number 3. Now, it's a double bond between carbons 2 and 3. So I'm going to select the double bond. And then when you have a blue rectangle on the bond, not the blue square on the atom, but the blue rectangle on the bar, click it one time and it turns it into whichever bond you want it to be. So, and there are a couple of different ways that you can do these, but that's kind of the easiest way to do it. All right, hope that helps. Let's see.